Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you enjoyed the sounds that you heard there in the intro, and if you like the jam track, then I'll have a link in the description so you can go and check it out yourself. Today we're going to be taking a listen to this tiny little Hughes Kettner Tubemeister 18 amplifier. Don't let its size fool you though. It might be a small amp, but it's got some big sounds inside that we're going to be checking out. Now today's big shout out goes to our band Singer for letting me borrow this to show you guys and let you guys hear kind of what it's all about. And at its core, I think this is a really good classic rock, modern rock, and a blues amp. And it's got a boost in there that you heard that it can kind of be gently persuaded into some of those higher gain 80s hair metal and some modern metal-ish sounds, but it definitely does have its limits, and we're going to kind of explore those and also kind of listen to more of its stronger areas that it really kind of has its core sound rooted in. Okay, so the controls for the amp are actually pretty straightforward here. We've got a clean channel with a gain control and a master output control. We've got a lead channel with a gain and a master output, and we've got a shared EQ for both channels, as well as a channel selector switch here and a lead boost switch right there. And these are currently being controlled with this Synergy foot switch here, where you can kind of go back and forth between the channels and then disengage or engage that lead boost there. On the back it has an effects loop, a power soak control to drop the amp all the way down from 18 down to I believe 1 watt, and a final selection on that control to completely mute the output, at which point you would plug into the red box. I believe that's Hughes Kettner's kind of patented cabinet simulation technology. Has a balanced XLR output so you can run direct without having to use a cabinet on the stage. Another neat feature on the back of the amp is the TSC, or the tube safety control, and apparently this amp is constantly like monitoring the bias of each of the power tubes to ensure that they're both evenly operating at the same bias, and it has a little LED for both of the power tubes to let you know if there's a problem that you might need to kind of replace the tube or something like that, or adjust the biasing. All right, now as for the voicing of this amp, it's kind of got its own thing going on, and I like that. It doesn't try to cop sounds from other amps. It definitely has a distinct voice that your typical, like maybe if we're looking at other 18 watt amps like the old 1974 Marshall, it doesn't really sound like that, and it doesn't sound like any of the low wattage Mesas either. It kind of does its own thing. The clean channel is nice and clear, and it has a pretty decent amount of headroom, but it can get crunchy if you kind of really crank it up. Maybe a little past 3 o'clock it'll start getting a little bit crunchy, but I kind of prefer to have it. Is right there. I don't know if the second camera here can see. It's got these little hard to read dials where the actual indicator is, but the gain is not. It's between 2 and 3 o'clock on the clean channel. Now the crunch channel is very light gain. I would say that it's better suited for blues and maybe some classic rock more than like higher gain stuff. I think I would probably tap out at about 60s or 70s rock on the crunch channel before eventually going to the lead boost for the higher gain stuff. Worth pointing out is that although you do have the flexibility of that extra gain boost on top of the crunch channel, it does increase the volume as well. So it can be a little bit difficult to balance the sound if you're wanting to kind of primarily use the crunch channel as your rhythm and then go to the lead as kind of like a higher gain rhythm rather than a solo boost. It really is best suited for either one or the other and sticking to it. And if you want to use the crunch channel without the gain boost, but you want more gain without having the volume increase, that's where you would use like a boost pedal or something like that to hit the front end hard to get that extra gain without having to deal with a volume jump that you would get going to the lead boost. And I'll show you guys kind of how it jumps up when you hit that boost. For me personally though, I kind of prefer to have the lead boost always on and the gain control, maybe this is right around 9-ish o'clock. 12 o'clock is about as high as I like to take it with the lead boost on, because at that point, if you do boost it on top of the lead boost, then it can get a little bit noisy, and it can lose some of its definition and clarity. So I prefer to have it a little bit below halfway here and then hit it with the Golden Boy for the higher gain stuff. Now probably my favorite part of the sound of this amp is the way that the notes kind of compress when you're playing lead work. It gives the notes this nice fat kind of blooming attack that it's not dry and it's not unforgiving either. The compression, it can be a liability though if you're wanting to do like the really high gain kind of percussive metal palm mutes. But again, it seems like that really isn't what this amp was built for. And when you push that type of playing to the side and focus more on what it does well, I really think the amp is very impressive. All right, so let's hear some more sounds from this amp. I'm using the Tokai with the Sheptone Brian Kanahack PAFs into the Golden Boy pedal. And it's got the quad cortex here in the loop, and that's doing reverb, delay, and chorus, but it's not doing any kind of supplemental EQing. The amp is going into the Splawn 412 as usual with an MD421 and an SM57 on a Scumback H75 speaker. And I will indicate on the screen when I turn the Golden Boy on. And today I have it set to the light blue transparent clean boost, and the drive is set to the amber LED clipping mode. And again, I'll put on the screen kind of which mode I'm on at what point. All right, let's get going here on the clean channel. Little delay. All right, the delay's off, and now I've got the chorus on. All right, chorus is off, and now we're going to hear what it sounds like with the gain kind of cranked up a little bit. And I'll also play with the master volume to let you guys hear kind of what kind of headroom this thing has. This is very much an amp that you can run full tilt, and although it's loud, it's not too loud, if that makes any sense. But let's go ahead and hear. I'm going to kind of narrate what I'm doing here because I really don't know if the camera pointing at the controls can actually see where these knobs are pointing. So right now the master is between, it's right around 2 o'clock, close to 3 o'clock, and the gain is the exact same place. So let's take the gain back to halfway. I'm going to raise the master to 3 o'clock. Take the gain to 3 o'clock as well. So although it's got a little bit of breakup on there, it's still relatively clean, and that's kind of how I really like hearing a clean sound on stage. It's got a little bit of meat on it that kind of gives it a little bit more punch and authority. Gain all the way up. Master all the way up. So there's not a lot of gain there, and basically what that means is that you have a lot of headroom to play with this. Even if you're playing at low volumes, or high volumes, excuse me, you really have a decent amount of headroom to play with before you start getting kind of a little bit of crunchiness there. So the master is still all the way up, and I bumped the gain back down to just almost to 3 o'clock. Now, I don't really think that the Golden Boy sounds all that great on here, and I also tried the OCD and the Klon, and none of them really sound very good on the clean channel. It crunches it up a little bit too aggressively, and I'll show you what I mean here. Again, the transparent boost is the mode that I'm on here right now. That might work on stage. It's got a little bit of upper end, very upper end aggression on there that doesn't really sound that great here in the studio. It probably would work on stage though. I'm willing to bet that it would. Okay, let's turn the boost off here and let's go over to the crunch channel. All right, let me raise the master up a little bit. Master is between 2 and 3 o'clock, the gain 10 o'clock, and the bass is at noon, mids at noon, and the treble's a little past 3 o'clock. So not a whole lot of gain yet. Let's take it up to noon. Let's take it up to 3 o'clock. So the low end is starting to let go pretty badly there. But if you're wanting kind of that really fluffy, soft Eric Johnson type low end, not trying to play like Eric. That ain't me, that ain't this channel. It kind of compresses in a very pleasing, smooth way if that's the type of lead sound that you're going for. But I really don't like that all that much. So let's back it back down to halfway. Take the mids down to 9 o'clock. The EQ doesn't have a huge impact on the sound. I mean, the amp is very usable no matter where the knobs are set, so it's not a very aggressive EQ. Mids back up to 3 o'clock. Treble at noon. bass all the way down. All the controls all the way up. All right, bump these two guys back down to noon, back the treble back a little bit. All right, let's go to the lead boost, and I'm gonna play a chord and hit it so you can hear the volume jump. So it's very noticeable here in the studio, and if you're running the amp through a cabinet here in the room. I don't know how well it'll translate into the recording though. All right, let's take the gain back down to 9 o'clock. That's kind of where I like a crunch to start, or maybe a little bit less gain here. To me, that's a really good, thick, good amount of gain on a crunch. I'll just leave it at that. It gives you a lot of headroom remaining to use a lot of gain from the boost pedal. So this is the clean boost. All right, clean boost is off and the drive boost is on. All right, I'm gonna raise the gain up a little bit. Just wanting to get noisy here just because of how close I am to it. So as you can hear, the attack has a softness to it, and that's that kind of that compressed bloom that I was talking about. And if even with the boost and the gain not quite at halfway, it really does not have a percussive attack the way that I think the more modern higher gain metal type players are looking for. So again, it's not really what this amp is voiced to do, but anything below that, I think it can do a pretty admirable job up to a point. But the kind of like the really liquid, compressed lead work, like it really does that very well. Let's add a little delay on here. Mids back down. Let's get the gain back down to right around 9 o'clock there. Try to keep this noise away. Go back to the clean boost. Okay, well that's going to wrap up this video with the Tubemeister 18 by Hughes Kettner. They still make this amp, although it's been branded as a 20 watt version now. In the current production, the deluxe model, it features extra tone shaping controls on the back for the cabinet simulation. And they also have a 40 watt version, which adds a dedicated EQ section for the clean channel and a dedicated gain and master for both the lead and the crunch. So you do get a lot more control over every aspect of the amp pretty much. In addition to this, for that same $1,500 price point as the 40 watt version, you can pick up the 40 watt Grandmeister, which adds a noise gate, MIDI control, built-in reverb, delay, and modulation effects like chorus, phaser, flanger, tremolo, as well as a fourth ultra channel, which has even more gain and a tighter sound. And what caught my eye with that amp in particular was at one point, one of my favorite artists, Devin Townsend, he was actually using one of those, and I think he's pretty picky about his tone. So that kind of does speak a lot for how good and flexible that Grandmeister 40 is. As of right now, Sweetwater are the place to pick up these H&K amps, and I'll have a non-affiliate link to that page with all of the Hughes Kettner's amps in the video description if you're interested in grabbing one. But if you really want a good deal, you can find one of these, the 20 watt version of these. You can find them used on Reverb for between like maybe $500 or $600, but I would highly recommend stepping up to a used 40 watt version for around $750 to maybe $800 to get all of that extra control over the clean channel, having a separate EQ for the clean channel and those extra gain and output controls for your gain channels. Anyways, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and if you like the video and you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button to help me grow this channel and get these videos out there to more viewers. And I've got one more piece of gear that I'm borrowing from our singer, but I have to wait until another piece of gear shows up from my friends over at Zounds before I can reveal what this other piece is. But when you see it, you'll kind of understand. All right, guys, I'm out. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.